in. Um, she'll probably be here in a few minutes, hopefully. Let me make sure everything is ready on my end while we wait for her. Hope everyone had a good Halloween. Let me let her know I'm on, just in case. Just in case she doesn't see it. Yep. And so I'm public. So this is public. Everyone can see it. The chat room is open to all. Chat room is open. Yep. Looks like everything is firing on all cylinders. So yeah, just waiting for her. But we would talk about something fun. The boys. Huh. Although, well, now I was thinking of like I could play like snippets of it as well, but I'm worried about copyright, so probably won't. Oh, she says she's getting ready. Um, I don't know how long that's going to take. So, in the meantime, you you find folks have need to entertain you. That's not my phone, by the way. That is a movie playing. Psycho. Well, American Psycho. I've never seen the classic Psycho yet, nor have I seen the reboot. I think the reboot is with Vince Vaughn, which hmm. Ooh, they got terrified. Okay, got terrified. I'm sorry. I'm looking. I'm perusing Prime Video. It has Terrifier 3. I remember when I was out in the movies last Halloween, I believe. I didn't watch the new episode of. I mean, sorry, the new season of Gen V. Like I'm not paying for Prime Video, and I've already exhausted my free trial for the year. So maybe in January, I don't I don't like paying for a bunch of streaming platforms. I'd rather just pirate it because they want too much money for a lot of stuff that I don't even watch. It's like Prime Video. There's like two things that I watch, so it's not worth getting a subscription to it just for one, like just for like one series that I like. And I don't even like Gen V that much. It's gotten too like both the boys and Gen V has gotten too political. Like now the superheroes are standing for the Trump administration. It's like that wasn't the original intent of the comic book. The intent of the comic book was that I should be saving this for the stream for my wife to hear, but I'll probably repeat it anyway. But you know the original intent of the comic book was to show that the creator hated superheroes. So he thought if you had them in the real world, they would just be bad for regular people. And he's not completely wrong. I forgot his name, Eric, whatever his name is. Um, but once the second season becomes free, then I'll watch it. If I unless I can catch it on a piracy thing. But yeah, I'm just waiting for her to get on. She has to make us. Oh, there she is. Hey, you look decent now. Hey, the it's the screen is still blank, but I can hear you. So I'm guessing that it just has to focus.
It's frozen on my end.
You might need to go out and go back in then because it's not showing you.
Okay.
All right. I deal with this live streaming sometimes. All right, let's try it again. All right, now I can see you.
Okay.
Had to make sure you were decent, right? So, where do you want to start with talking about the show? I was actually just talking about it with uh, Real CP. He has a YouTube channel, by the way, as well. Um, because he was the one who asked me months ago uh, if I had kind of stream talking about like these different shows, like The Boys and some other shows, and I was like, well, I could do a live and talk with you about it since we watched a lot of those together. Since I always try to get you to watch some of my favorite movies.
So trying to get me to watch all of them.
We pretty much watched well almost all of them. So we still got Predator. You gotta see Predator, but you already saw like my like so far my favorite term Schwarzenegger films. Except you haven't seen Terminator or Terminator 2 yet, have you? Or have you watched those? What movies did you watch back in the day? Or was it just all like Hello Kitty and I don't know whatever you watched? Just Filipino stuff.
No, I don't really watch too many movies and shows.
I've never seen a single episode of Westworld. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
Westworld? I said, have you
No.
seen it, Mahal? You haven't. Okay. Yeah, I haven't. I never had any interest in watching it. But yeah, so there's a few other things you haven't watched. So Casino Royale, Predator. Um, what else? I tried to get you to watch Howard the Duck, but you didn't like it. The first, it was only the first 5 minutes. You didn't like it because of the duck titties, or what was was it the duck titties that turned you on?
And it was, I just didn't like it.
Well, it did. It was a major flop when it came out. Like George Lucas took a serious L on that movie because he had to do a lot of uh, wheeling and dealing to get that movie made. But it still looks pretty. Well, it doesn't look good. I would say the character looks pretty good to be made in the '80s because they use several different actors and they use both practical effects and digital effects all to make it look realistic. So the it still works for that time. Now the other effects in the movie are kind of janky, but Howard himself looks pretty good. Like they used, I think, like a child actor. They used a little person. They used some practical effects, some digital effects, whatever digital effects they had back then. But it was a funny movie though. Like if you watched it through more of the movie, you might have liked it. He's a Real CP says Fallout was another series we talked about. Uh, yeah, I gotta see if that's free on here. Let me see because I think you would like Fallout. I, only- I think they're gonna have a second season soon, but it's based off a video game. Have you ever played it? Because I never played a video game. That's why I wasn't initially interested. And then Jason told me it was good. Um, so I was like, let me check it out, and then I actually liked it. Oh, look, I I think it is free on here. Well, at least the first episode. Let me see if all the episode. No, only the first episode is free. But we can watch that episode just to see if you want to watch the whole series later. But yeah, Casino Royale, Predator, Terminator 2, Superman 2, Superman 1, which is like so for you. I mean, it was an early movie. That was back in 1978. And that was like literally the first that was the first feature length like superhero film. Um, what else? I'm gonna get to that in a minute. CP. Um, what was the other? Yeah, pretty much everything. Well, a few movies haven't shown you because they're like cartoon films. Wait, we watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Did we watch that?
Yeah.
We did. Okay. So I didn't. So you didn't watch um Transformers the movie with me because I noticed I haven't asked you to watch anything animated with me because I don't know if you like animated stuff. You do?
Yeah.
No,
Also.
not really. Not really.
Mm-mm.
Because Transformers the movie is an anime. So I was like, if you like anime, there's a bunch of stuff we could watch then. Um, Transformers movie, um, Vampire D, Ninja Scroll, uh, Fist of the North Star, a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, but yeah, we ran through most of the stuff that I like, except for like stuff that's like currently behind a paywall, and that so. But yeah, we can watch the first episode of Fallout and see if you like it. But Real CP was asking, what are some shows that you like?
Uh, I like Breaking Bad.
Who?
Breaking Bad.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, you watched that the whole thing? Oh, you watched it on the Netflix, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you watched it when it was on Netflix. I ended up watching the whole.
Mhm.
Were you watching around the same time I was?
I, I don't think so because it wasn't changing the episodes whenever I watched it.
Oh, well, so let's get into the boys. That's what I was about to pull up, and then I start looking at other stuff. So, like I said, the premise of the show was that like the writer of the boys is just he's a comic book writer that doesn't like superheroes, and I think that comes off pretty obvious in the show, right? But as you can see from this the seasons that we watched, the first three seasons, we didn't watch the fourth season, but the first three seasons and the beginning of Gen V is that it went from it being anti superhero to it being a whole like political thing where the superheroes are basically stand-ins for the or like conservatives in America. Like um, Homelander himself basically becomes a stand-in for Donald Trump, and that kind of backfired last year because when the fourth season came out and they were strongly making it the case because you saw even in season three. Remember when they had the riot? And they had the guy that looked like the rioter from the January 6th, 2021 protests with the bullhorns and the makeup on his face. Like they had someone look just like that on the show. Remember? And I was pointing that out, and I was like, yeah, they're not even trying to be subtle anymore. And so like so the showrunner is veering off from the comic book where he's making, like I said, the superheroes a stand-in for conservatives, and he made Homelander a stand-in for Donald Trump himself. And I was saying it kind of backfired because people were supposed to hate Homelander, but instead people start liking him because they were trying to make him look like Donald Trump, forgetting that half the country likes Donald Trump. So if you make the bad guy resemble someone who half the country likes, that's not exactly a good idea because now you're going to polarize the audience because they're going to think, well, one, I actually like Homelander, and two, there must be something wrong with you if you think he's a bad guy. So this is why that was a bad idea to. I mean, they could still criticize Republicans and Trump and all that, but it didn't have to be so on the nose, right? Like by the fourth, like it wasn't subtle in the third season, but it's worse in the fourth season. Like when we see that, it'll probably be free next year, um, so we can watch that. But when we watch the fourth season, you'll see that there's no subtlety left whatsoever in the show. And I was telling you, like each character is like a stand-in for like actual superheroes, like Homelander. It's sort of like is basically like an evil Superman, and it was starting to get tired because there was a whole bunch of evil Superman type films and TV shows coming out. There was Brightburn, which was like, what if he came to Earth but he was evil? So he's like an evil Superboy. That's a good movie if you haven't seen it. Brightburn. That came out like 10 years ago. No, maybe 12 years ago now. Um, then then there's obviously the boys, but there's also Invincible. That's another animated show. This on Prime Video. Again, I didn't think you would watch it will want to watch it because it's a cartoon, but it's not like it's very violent though. It's like it's more violent than the boys actually, if you can believe that. It's more violent than the boy, but it's easy to be more violent because it's animated. Because when it's animated, the violence doesn't seem as palpable as when it's like live, something live. Real people saying Hanna Barbera show. The Hanna Barbera. You talking about the cartoon Hanna Barbera? Or you talking about? Oh yeah, I think you're talking about Hanna Barbera, the old cartoons from the '60s and '70s. At first, I thought he was saying Hannah Montana. I was confusing Hanna Barbera with Hannah Montana, Voltron. Yeah, but I was speaking specifically of anime. Like that Hanna Barbera is not anime. That's the old stuff like Yogi Boo Boo. I mean Yogi Bear and Boo Boo and stuff like that. Um, but if you want to try Invincible, we can watch it because, like I said, it's good. So the character. Oh, that's right. You haven't watched Walking Dead yet. That's another thing we need to watch. It was one of my favorite shows until they ruined it. Sort of like Game of Thrones. The funny thing is they ruined Game of Thrones before they. No, they ruined Walking Dead before they ruined Game of Thrones. So when they ruined Game of Thrones, people was like, "Oh man, they just Walking Dead the Game of Thrones." You still there? I don't know if she stepped out. You still there, Mahal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Walking Dead is something we need to watch too. That's really good. It's kind of gory, but the first, say, get through like the first 6 seasons, or we can get up to the point where Rick Grimes leaves the show. He's a star. But getting back to the boys, so like I said, Homeland is a stand-in for Superman, also a little bit Captain America. But then Soldier Boy is a stand-in for Captain America, obviously, right? He's sort of a stand-in for both Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Black Noir is a stand-in sort of like for Batman and Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was from G.I. Joe. He was like a ninja who had a disfigured face, so he always wore like a, um, a balaclava mask with goggles, so that you never see his face because his face was disfigured from a accident he had in Vietnam War. Um, and so that's sort of similar to Black Noir, but they changed Black Noir in the show than in the comic book. So, and they changed Homelander too. So the funny thing is, so all the horrible things that Homelander is doing in the show, in the comic book, sorry, spoiler alert, CP. I hope this doesn't ruin it for you, but so yeah, at the end of the comic book, basically Homelander and I think all of the seven, I think they take over the White House or whatever. Um, and Black Noir ends up killing Homelander. And we find out at the end that all the things that Homelander was being accused of was actually being done by Black Noir, because Black Noir was actually his clone who looked exactly like him, but he was psychotic. So he was the one doing all that crazy stuff that was home that people had accused Homelander of doing. Um, I think I guess I don't know if he was more powerful than him, but he was a clone. He was basically like a he was supposed to be he was intended to be like a backup in case you know they they couldn't control Homelander or whatever. But he was the one doing committing all the crimes and stuff. But in the show, they changed it where now Black Noir is a black guy who served with Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy is the biological father of Homelander. I don't know if that's the case in the. I don't think that's the same in the books at all. I don't think they are. father and son in the comic books, but um, and he ends up killing Black Noir in the show. Remember, and so in the fourth season, they basically get another suit to basically cosplay as Black Noir, so that people don't know that the original died because Homelander killed him. So you'll see that in the fourth season when we watch that. Like I said, I think they'll probably make it free in 2026, so we can watch the fourth season because the fifth season should be coming out soon as well. So they'll probably be releasing the fourth season for free. Um, oh, what else? And who the girl is basically a stand-in for Wonder Woman. Let me go to that show so I can pull it up while we're talking. Uh, what's her name?
Maeve?
Maeve. How you remember? Where is she on here? So Maeve is like the stand-in for Wonder Woman. Starlight. Um, who is she? She's sort of like a few different minor superhero characters. Let me actually look that up. But I'll go to some other ones. So the Deep is always obviously Aquaman. Aquaman doesn't get much respect in the comic books either. So it was kind of funny that. Well, no, let me correct. He has respect within the comic books, but fans have always teased him, thinking he's corny, basically because of the Super Friends TV show from the '70s. He was like this guy who, like, pretty much was lame unless he was in the water, and he always make the sound to call a fish to him. So like he became really corny because of, and it's really not fair to think he's corny just because of the Super Friends TV show, because all of them were corny in the Super Friends show because it was like a show it was like a show made for kids. So it was kind of unfair for everyone to say that Aquaman is corny. But if you ever watch Big Bang Theory, they always made fun of that, saying that no one likes Aquaman. And then the superhero that works for the boys, Kamiko, is obviously like has powers like Wolverine. She has a healing factor. Um, she has like, and she has like issues because she used to be she was forced to work for terrorists for a while and do like basically contract killings for them or whatever. Real CP said, "Did you did you see Super Friends?" I don't think so. She didn't watch anything from the '70s. She's she's a millennial. She didn't watch Super Friends. He said, "I saw the boys series, not the comic book." Yeah, that's why I'm differentiating between all the stuff they changed from the comic book to the show. Or for instance, like in the first episode when Starlight is forced to suck off the Deep, that's not what happened in the comic books. In the comic books, all of them took advantage of her. It wasn't just the Deep, so that made it worse. It's in the show it's made it, they just made it that the Deep was a creep, but it was apparently in the comic book all of them took advantage of her, which is kind of gruesome. Uh, A Train is obviously a stand-in for like the Flash or Quicksilver if you rather, because his color scheme looks more like Quicksilver from Marvel. The twin brother of of what's her name? The witch, Wanda. But he's fast, not as fast as the Flash, but same thing. Oh, okay, so it's like Starlight was inspired by like Mary Marvel and Stargirl. I would say more Stargirl, but that's just because I'm more biased towards DC Comics. So I would say she. Well, no, both. Well, I'm sorry, both Mary Marvel and Stargirl are from DC. So Stargirl is sort of like a. She's sort of like a Supergirl type character in DC, like young blonde teenager, kind of like happy, down to earth sort of person. Oh, and I said the creator's name wrong. It's not. His name is Garth Ennis. Um, because he also wrote Hellblazer. I know you never heard of that. It was on DC used to have a separate imprint called Vertigo, and what happened was that they took a lot of they ended the Vertigo imprint, and then they brought in a lot of those characters from that separate Vertigo universe into the DC multiverse. Um, and it was like a whole slew of black superheroes they brought in as well. But anyway, getting back to the show, who else am I missing? So there's some new characters you haven't seen yet. So one of them is going to be Sister Sage. I don't know if she's in the comic book or not because I don't remember hearing about her. But she's like the smartest person. Her superpower is that she has a super genius level intellect, but she's an annoying black chick. So a lot. So of course, when it came out, all these black chicks was like, "Yeah, that's why she's the smartest one." Blah blah blah. And Quest and I was like, "Man, shut up." But you haven't seen her yet because she doesn't appear to the fourth season. I know in the book, Billy Butcher, the leader of the boys, becomes way more twisted than in the show. Like he's already pretty messed up in the show, but he becomes way more messed up in the comic book. Like I think they have to. I think he. I think he ends up killing most of his team in the comic book. I don't know how. Again, I don't know how it ends up in the show, since I think the fifth season is going to be the last season. But I know in the comic book, I think he pretty much loses his mind and just. I think he ends up killing most of the team, and then I think Huey has to kill him or something like that. I think that's how it goes in the comic book. But again, they've changed so much in the third and fourth season. And I mean, they changed so much in all the seasons that none of it pretty much goes along with the comic book anymore. Like it's no, and like in the comic book, like again, I don't think Homelander had a son. I'm not sure if he had a son in the comic book, but if so, his son definitely isn't going to be the one who kills him. Like I said, Black Noir kills him in the comic book because that's his clone, so he's just as powerful as he is, if not more powerful. But he's also completely mentally unhinged, and all the things that were going on bad that was blamed on Homeland that was actually being done by Black Noir. When he had his mask off, because being an identical clone, people would have mistaken him for Homelander. Um, and I was telling you, Victoria Newman is basically a stand-in for a real elected politician in America named Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. She's basically like a stand-in for her. Although I'm surprised they didn't make her a good person because she's, obviously got issue like not a good person in the show. So I don't know if that means that the showrunner thinks doesn't think much of her on the of the her real life counterpart or not. So um, that's pretty much everyone. Like I said, except for we talked about Maeve. Oh, there's gonna be another superhero character, Firecracker. She was a rival of Starlight growing up as a kid, so she hates her. But she has a really weak power, which is just like she can make sparkles and stuff. So she has like a weaker power base that's similar to Starlight, and she's like this conspiracy theorist. I think she's supposed to be a stand-in for another politician here in America, um, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like she spreads conspiracy theories and on the show, not the real life politician. The real life politician has been kind of crazy too, to be honest. But Firecracker, I think, is supposed to be like a superhero. So if if like Homeland is a stand-in for Donald Trump, then Firecracker is sort of a stand-in for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, she kind of sleeps her way into the position she has, and also you'll see it when we watch the fourth season. There are some entertaining parts of the fourth season, but like I said, they try so hard to make it just a anti-Trump thing that it ruins the show. Because even if you do hate Trump, I'm pretty sure like the last thing you want to do when you watch TV is see something that just resembles what you see on the news 24/7, right? Like imagine if like the whole thing between like Duterte and what's his name and President Bong Bong.
Marcos.
Marcos. Yeah. So, imagine if the whole hoopla between Marcos and Duterte ended up on like like one of the hottest shows on in the Philippines. Like all of a sudden all the characters started resembling like things that was going on in real life. Wouldn't that kind of annoy you, even if like you fell on one side or the other? You're like, I'm watching the show to get away from saying politics. I don't want that played out in the show. And then especially if the showrunner has a bias to one or the other person, and you just happen to like that person or you don't have anything against them, then that's going to make it even more annoying. So I think like that sort of politics stuff ruined the show. Like it was all the way there was always politics involved in the first two seasons, but you remember the first two seasons, the politics was much more subtle, right? But in the third season it was not subtle at all. It wasn't. But remember the protests and all that. Like it wasn't really subtle. CP says if you can see if that will come up in your search. What what do you mean? Are you talking about Super Friends, CP? I think you must be to see if Super Friends is on Prime. I'll search for that in a second. But um, well, give me your impression of the show so far. What you thought about it when we were watching it? Because I remember when we first watched. I think it was like the second episode. That's when you got really into it, like a year ago. Remember? I think that because that was when they was at the party and they were all having like an orgy. Not the third season, the first season. The first season it was like the second episode when they came into the thing and the character just sort of like Ant Man shrank and ran up into the woman's pussy and she was like, oh, and then you were like we were watching that scene, you was like, oh my god, scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it gets mad. And did it get worse than that on the third season? The third the third season, there's a whole episode just called Hero Gasm. That was a wild episode, wasn't it? Hero Gasm.
Right.
Then the dude that has the how do I put it? The wind around appendage. Remember that? Oh, he's Russell. He says, "Yeah, movies website in your search bar. Just saying. Let's just say it has various shows you can watch. You can name the piracy thing on here. They're not gonna. I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem with it. CP. I mean, I use Cinema HD, but it hasn't been working for months for me. Like none of the streams really work on Cinema HD. When I googled it, they said that it needs to be updated, but I'm using the most current update. I don't know if maybe I should uninstall it then reinstall it. Um, but it's like a piracy app on Fire Stick. You think I should do that, Mahal? Like just uninstall it and reinstall it?
Yeah, unless they didn't get taken down, did they?
No, no. That's what I asked on Google. They said it hasn't been taken down. Um, yeah, I might do that later. Oh, tell me when you need to go to. I don't want to keep you on for too long so you can pack.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I have to go soon.
okay. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah. So there, season four has a similar episode to Hero Gasm. I'm already warning you now. There's gonna be a similar there's gonna be a similar episode to Hero Gasm on the fourth season. Seems like they do something crazy like that every season. Except I don't think they had something crazy like that in the second season. Although there was some wild stuff. Something was deleted. Oh, some idiot. Streamlabs took care of that idiot. But anyway, um, well, yeah. So that remember, but I was saying that was I think like the second episode, maybe the third episode. And that's when you were interested in it. Then we stopped watching it. We start watching other stuff because I don't think at the time all of the episodes were free, or we just um, started watching other things. And then when I said let's get back into it, I knew you didn't remember anything, so I was like, all right, let's just rewatch it from the first episode, which was a good thing because you probably didn't remember any of that stuff from the first two episodes that we had watched. But you liked the show though, because you were the one a few times like let's watch the second episode. Like when we were watching an episode, then it was like a few times you was like let's watch another one. So I was like, okay, you want to binge it? So I was like, oh, you must like the show then. Those two sites. Um, I can't. Th- he listed off some websites.
So that's
Um,
it.
uh, did the cat just get home?
Yeah.
Like clockwork, huh? I mean, why is the got it? But I don't. It's funny though. Why does the cat got to yell with his home to get fed? That's a kind of. Is it because you guys forget to feed it when it gets home?
No, he has his food ready by the time it comes home.
So the cat just a jerk. Is basically what you're
Yes.
saying. The cat's just a jerk. But Misty's a jerk too, because all those times she used to crap in the bathroom for no reason. Um, I didn't see those sites. Oh, Yes Movies. That's what it's called. Yes Movies. All right, I'm gonna check that out. Have you heard of that website? Yes Movies.
No.
Oh, Yes Movies website. Oh, okay. He said it the first time. I didn't catch it because I thought he was saying Yes Movies website. So I didn't get it the first time. My bad. Thank you, CP. I'm gonna check out their website after the live stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. Plus, I'm gonna see if there's an app for it on my Fire Stick as well. But yeah, I'm gonna check out Yes Movies when I get off of here because he suggested a whole bunch of shows that we should watch. But yeah, you would like. I think you would like Fallout. That was pretty good. I was surprised. So I would check that one out. Anyways, so getting back into the show, I was saying, what was your impression of the show since you're about to go?
Well, it was entertaining. Um,
Not what you were expecting.
mm-mm. A lot
You
of
thought it was gonna
this.
be more. You thought it was gonna be like a more conventional superhero type show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I did warn you though before we watched it. I was like, this is not a regular superhero show. I even told you I was like, in this show, the superheroes are the bad guys. Remember, I did tell you that though. I just didn't tell you how twisted, how twisted the show was. I wanted you to see for yourself. CP said, was there a certain character she liked or disliked? Was there?
Character I dislike the most is the deep,
You like the
but
deep?
I dislike.
Oh, okay, okay.
Although I don't really have a favorite character.
You notice they tried it they kind of changed it where similar to like Game of Thrones, where the people who seem the most evil actually seem the most tragic characters. Like, so if you
Mm,
remember from Game of Thrones, like that was with the Jamie Lannister, the twin brother of Cersei Lannister. Like, pretty much everyone hated them the first season because they threw the boy out the window. They're like twins, that's having sex with each other. That they, you know, had a bunch of bastard children and let uh, the king uh, um, think they were his children. Then you find out, all this other stuff behind him, and you find out he's actually sort of a tragic. Well, I won't say tragic hero, but he's not a villain per se. He's just an anti-hero. Kind of see that. It looked like they was going in that direction with the deep, but because you find out like I wanted to say pansexual, but I don't know if pansexual includes animals. But you find out that he's sexually attracted to to I don't know, to sea animals, and that he actually has gills like a fish that he has to keep covered up because he looks like a freak with like if he shows them, and that he's basically like Homelander's little bitch. So excuse my French, but I mean I don't hate him. I mean, there are certain characters I hate. Like I said, I hated Victoria Newman. Um, I hated Stormlander. Obviously, she was the Nazi. Plus, she was just annoying. um, who else? Uh, I don't know. Well, yeah. But like I said, if you were interested in something similar to that, we can watch Invincible. Like I said, it's animated, but it's pretty dark. But at least it actually has like good superheroes and bad supervillains. It's just that you find out the people you thought were the superheroes weren't. But there are like real superheroes, and it uses one of the actors who was in Walking Dead. That's why I brought it up earlier. The Korean guy named Glenn, who you'll see when we start watching Walking Dead. Uh, he plays the voiceover for the main character, Invincible, and it's also a comic book. And funny enough, the it's produced by the same person who wrote The Walking Dead. So the same person who did the Walking Dead comics and was the executive producer, Robert Kirkman, is also the executive producer and the creator of the comic book Invincible. So that's what you might like it if you want. Well, how about this? We'll just like watch one episode and you see if you like it.
Okay.
We can watch that maybe tomorrow or whenever if you have the time.
Okay.
He was saying, see, he said definitely Invincible you might like because yeah, like if you liked Walking, I mean, sorry, not I keep saying Walking Dead. If you liked The Boys, you'll probably like Invincible. Like I said, it's animated, but the animation's pretty decent. Real CP said he said you as well, bro. J.A.C. this just contrarian same question. Um, who do I like and dislike? Um, I I like Black Noir until they killed him, because he reminds me of Snake Eyes, who's my favorite GI Joe character, and he also reminds me of Batman, who's my favorite superhero. Even though he's an evil version of both of them, and he's not as comp and two, he's not as good of a fighter as Batman nor as Snake Eyes. He kind of just relies on his brute strength, whereas Snake Eyes and Batman didn't have super strength, so they couldn't rely on that. But my favorite characters, it's hard to say because kind of to be honest, everyone in the show is kind of unlikable. Just I don't know if Mrs. Contrarian feels the same way, but everyone in the show is kind of deeply flawed. I mean, um, like all of the boys, if this was like a conventional superhero show, they would be the bad guys because they're all criminals, but they're criminals who are taking down worse people. Um, I like Mother's Milk, but he's kind of his OCP kind of is annoying. I like Kamiko because she also played Katana in Suicide Squad, which you haven't watched yet, right? You haven't seen Suicide Squad yet. She wasn't in the sequel, The Suicide Squad, but she was in the first one, Suicide Squad, which is a horrible movie. But because of that movie, every ratchet chick in America wanted a relationship like Harley Quinn and Joker. And I'm like, no, you don't. You do not want a relationship like Harley Quinn and Joker because that movie didn't show that she he just uses her and he abuses her like physically and otherwise. Like even though she's the psychiatrist, he manipulates her. And it's like that is not a relationship to envy. But when that movie came out, all these little dumb chicks said they wanted a relationship with their man like Harley Quinn and Joker. I'm like, no, the hell you don't. I was like, oh, so you want a man who beats up on you, abandons you, and cheats on you, and like uh torments you. I'm like, and that's why you're single. But anyway, so she plays Katana. That was the first thing I ever saw her in. Now she's in this movie, Kamiko. So I guess she's used to playing superheroes now. So she's one of my favorite characters. Mother's Milk. I like Huey, except that he's a bitch. Excuse my French again. But he's like Starlight only likes him because he's weak, and it's like you notice when he was taking Compound V, she disliked the fact that he now had powers and need her to save him. I'm like, and that's bad. I like her too, but she gets annoying as well. I could almost like A Train, except it's just hard to like someone who gets high and literally runs through another human being, exploding them. That happens to the first 5 minutes of the show. Like, if it weren't for that, I would like the character. Like, I could see past him, shooting up Compound V to maintain his super speed, because that's basically no different than like athletes today using like steroids or other performance enhancing drugs to stay on top. Same thing. They do it all the time in Thai boxing. Like, don't even get me started. But I can see past, like I said, him basically using super steroids, um, and even getting high or whatever. But just murdering someone just by running through them and not like no. If it, like I said, if it weren't for that, I could get into the character. But like I said, all of them are deeply flawed. So it's hard to say who would be my favorite, but it would probably be between Mother's Milk and Kamiko. I definitely can't get into Frenchie because he's a freaking junkie and he's gay. Sorry, I can't. Anyone who's anyone who's a Peter Puffer is not going to be my favorite character. I'm sorry, can't do it. Like, well, wait, actually, it's not. It's actually worse than that because he's not even gay. He plays for both teams, and that's worse to me than being gay. It's like, at least if you're gay, hey, you're gay, cool, whatever. That's the team you play for. But when you're trying to play for both teams, I don't like that. Like, I don't like someone who plays for both teams. Look, you're either a Red Sox or you're the Yankees. Well, no, let me. So you're either the Dodgers or the Yankees, but you can't play for both of them. That's how I see it. That's with bisexual men. I find them cringe, but that's my own bias. Anyway, again, I guess my favorite character would probably be between Mother's Milk and Kamiko. Definitely ain't Butcher because he's fucking psycho. The kid's cool too, I guess, but he's not all there either. And
I have
and
to
then
go
he wants me to ask. Huh.
I have to go.
Okay, let me just say my character I dislike the most. So it ain't Homelander, by the way. He's not the who I hate the most. It'll be between Victoria Newman. I really hate her, or Victoria Newman and Sister Sage. I really don't like her character. She's a know-it-all that has no. She has no like her power is all her intellect, which means she has to be protected by other people with powers. But and I don't like her. Like, she's too arrogant to not be able to protect herself. Anyway, so that's it. But I'll let you go, and we can just I'll chat with you. But appreciate it, CP.
Okay.
I'll do more of these if Mrs. Contrarian want to do them. Do you want to do more of these where we can talk about shows? Hopefully, like we can get it to a point where we can do like reaction stuff. Like we'll actually like pull it up. Like if I'm doing this from a desktop or whatever, we can actually pull up the stuff while we're watching, like while we're streaming, and talk about it.
Mm.
But yeah, we can do more of these stuff if you're cool with that. But he said, has she seen Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon? She hasn't seen House of the Dragon yet, but she's seen Game of Thrones. But I didn't let her watch. I didn't let her watch season 7 and 8 because I wanted her to remember it as a good show. So season 6 was season. I say season 5 and season 6 were left it off on a good note. Even though 6 went beyond the books, it's still it. I think that's where they should have ended the show until George R. R. Martin had wrote the next book. So I didn't let her watch season 7 and 8. Same thing with Walking Dead. Once we watch Walking Dead, I'm not gonna let you watch the last few seasons. First of all, I didn't even watch the last few seasons because it was so bad. But also because once Rick Grimes leaves the show, there's no point of watching anymore. Watching the show without his main protagonist doesn't make sense. Because the other protagonist was his son, and they killed his son in the show, even though in the comic book he's the guy who survives at the end to tell the tale is his son. So it didn't make sense in the show to kill off the son, but whatever. What's up, the cat again? What's wrong with that cat? I hope y'all close the door when y'all go to sleep because that cat sounds psycho. Like he's gonna come up. I said, "Where's my round? Food round? Food round? Get up, round!" And wait, and how does he get in? Is the door left open?
Go through the window. Go through the windows.
He gets. Oh, the windows are left open.
Yeah.
Is it? You're not worried about like mosquitoes and stuff.
Mm-mm.
I guess. Well, anyway, when I come there, I'm gonna install the AC so we can close the windows and the doors. Then he'll have to knock like a regular cat, or he can stay his butt inside like a regular cat. But I'll let you go.
Okay.
All right, all right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end for me too. Thanks, CP, for giving me the suggestion. So I'm gonna do more of these in the future. I don't know what the next show we'll talk about. Mm, maybe Invincible, unless I get her to see House of Dragons first. We'll see. But until then, I'm gonna go myself because it's getting late and I need to get up early. So thanks again. I'll talk later. Peace out.